Okay, welcome to the press conference for the film that you saw this morning, or yesterday, which is a gala presentation here at the Toronto Film Festival, Matchstick Men, and I will begin immediately by introducing the people who are here at this table, possibly not quite in the order in which they're sitting. So ladies first. She was here last year for White Oleander, a film that she took away from everybody else and ran with, Alison Lohman. Sitting next to her on the left-hand side, he was a very bad guy in Green Mile. He was a sort of bad guy with a smile in Charlie's Angels. He was that weird guy in Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, Mr. Sam Rockwell. These two, I won't even try. Actor Nicolas Cage and director Ridley Scott. Pardon me, Sir Ridley Scott, since January. And there will be a question here. And by the time the mic... No, just a second, wait, the mic will get to you. Don't rush. We have 45 minutes, but don't rush. Yes. While the microphone gets to the lady here, the first articles that have appeared on Matchstick Men all refer to The Sting, or Elmer Leonard, or David Mamet, or film noir and roman noir à la Horace McCoy. Do you agree with that, Mr. Scott? Sir Ridley?
Not really. No.
Okay.
I think if it had been that apparent then, and that derivative, then I probably wouldn't have attracted me.
Horace McCoy is not derivative.
Sorry?
Horace McCoy is not derivative. The Grifter is not derivative.
Grifters. Did you mention the Grifters?
Yeah.
Are we going to be argumentative?
No. Okay.
No. I mean, I just thought that it is. A script, a piece of material is what it is, and when it came onto my desk, I was very entertained by the. Switch the cell phones off, right? I was very entertained by the script, and I never thought of any derivation whatsoever. And in fact, I think I was more. I was so taken with the story and the originality of the story, with three very interesting directions of both character development, a personal story on the life of Roy and this daughter that would come into his life, as well as their existence as low-level con artists, which would develop into something else. And so it was one of the refreshingly great jigsaw puzzle that we don't often get today. It was kind of very reminiscent of the great comedies, I think, of like, the Ealing comedies, early American comedies, which particularly recall Jack Lemmon. And so what I was actually more thinking of as I was reading it, and because I was so engaged, I was starting to think about cast, because I thought about halfway through, I thought, I'm going to do this. I started to think about trying to see people. And I was thinking, funnily enough, more in terms of who this character was and what was his syndrome, what was his condition. I started to think of the awkwardness of Jacques Tati, Traffic, and was it Mon Oncle, the modernistic? Was that the one with the funny house? Mon Oncle was the one about the house, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yes. So the last thing I thought of, funny enough, was other Sting films.
Okay. There's a question here and then a question there. Madam?
Do I stay?
No, don't.
Hi. Do I say my name?
Yes,
and
please.
Who I work for? My name is Helen Klukach, Russian Jewish paper, Young Street Review, and this question is for Mr. Cage. Mr. Cage, I saw you this morning, Be Still My Heart, in the movie. I made you smile.
Thank
Good. You were looking so serious.
I can't help it. It's just the way I was born.
But I made you smile. Anyway, you're a master of your craft.
Thanks.
I'm a devoted fan. This morning in your movie, you were both funny and serious. Which is easier, or which do you like doing best, comedy or drama?
Well, my sensibilities tend to be more dramatic, I think, but I like the idea of trying to have humorous moments in dramatic films and also dramatic moments in comedic films. So I like to keep switching it up and finding the dichotomy in things and never trying to give you exactly what you expect to get.
Fantastic jacket.
Oh, thank you.
Sir?
Yes, Bruce Kirkland from the Toronto Sun down here in front, also for Mr. Cage, right here.
Oh, hi.
In front. So Bruce Kirkland, Toronto Sun. And a follow-up to this question, actually, one of the intriguing things about your performances is you don't do normal, and yet your performances are all based in human behavior. So we don't want you to do normal, but can you talk about the fact that you veer away from what is traditionally considered leading man kind of roles in Hollywood?
Well, I'm not interested in masks. I'm interested in taking the mask off. And I'm not interested in perfection. I'm interested in imperfections because I feel that the imperfections get closer to the truth. I want to see what's underneath the mask. And I guess that's why I'm attracted to extreme characters. I mean, having said that, though, I'm always up for a challenge, and I'd like to try to play normal people as well, to the best of my ability.
Relate that though to this particular film?
Yeah, you know, I cared about Roy, and I have a friend who's like Roy. I have a friend who's a stuntman that I've worked with who has OCD, and along with that, there's a lot of tics, and so I would ask him questions about it and make notes about it, and so my portrayal with Sir Ridley, was that I wanted to try to find a way to present this character with love, but still in a way that wouldn't bring everybody down. There's this comedic aspect to the film, but try to present it with love, and that people would not think we were ridiculing or exploiting this condition, but perhaps raising some awareness and showing his frustration in these wonderful scenes with Alison, where he's trying to understand how to be a parent, and he's never had that kind of experience before.
Ma'am?
Yes, this is actually for Sir Ridley Scott and Mr. Cage. You've said actually, Nick, that you were very interested in working with Ridley Scott and the kind of choices he makes. And it seems that your careers are quite parallel. Had there been other projects that you've wanted to work on before with Nick Cage?
I can't remember when I met Sir Ridley the first time. It seems like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know what the project
I think we
was.
had one of those general, from time to time, you know, like somebody's work, you just ask to have a general meeting.
Yeah.
I think it was a general meeting, we just sat down and chatted with a view to, at some point in the future, we'd work together.
Yeah.
But, so,
This was the first project that you built,
Yes.
Yeah.
both clips.
Yes, but one of the things I admire about his filmmaking is that it continues to transform. It's like he never lost interest in any type of genre. He keeps trying his hand at different things, and I try to do the same thing. So it seemed like kismet if we could work together.
Ma'am?
Gloria Martin, 680 News. Question for Nicolas Cage and for Alison Lohman. Nicolas, you're a veteran of the business. Alison, a relative newcomer. Alison, did you learn anything from Nicolas? And indeed, Nicolas, did you learn anything from Alison?
Well, one of the things that I find so special about working with someone like Alison is her passion, her enthusiasm, you know, a terrific attitude, great to be with on the set, is really playful and ultra serious about the work. And so what happens is it gets into kind of like a symbiotic thing where her passion re-stimulates and reignites my passion, so I stay interested and stay wanting to keep acting, which sometimes I think, well, maybe I don't want to do this anymore, but when I get around people like her, I go, yes, I can go further, I can learn more and keep going.
Alison?
When I first found out I was going to work with Nick, I've loved everything he's done.
Sorry.
Yeah, I've loved everything he's done since Raising Arizona and Moonstruck, and so I was really really intimidated, and right away he just made me feel really comfortable and made me laugh, and so and he's so, it's so easy to work with him. It's so easy to get swept up into the scene because it's all within a look in his eyes, and it just stems from there, and I think that's how it should be with acting. Just it's all in the eyes, and he definitely has that.
Thank you.
Question there?
Angela Pacenza, Canadian Press. Alison, I wanted to know, playing a 14-year-old, how was that for you, and how did you get into character? Because there was quite an age difference.
Yeah, that was the biggest challenge for me, because the character is just so complex. It's like playing two people. But I hung out with my cousin who's 14 for about a month, and just kind of got to know her world. You know, what does she talk about? What does she do? And then, but she's so different from my character, so I just used my imagination, just trying to create, you know, what I thought she was, and then the character, just by doing the scenes, it just kind of takes on its own. It just kind of develops as you go through each scene. So I just try to be open and yeah, I don't know.
But since we're talking about collaboration or the way two actors mesh, the same kind of question could be asked about work between Sam Rockwell and Nicolas Cage. Watching the film yesterday, the speed of the dialogue between the two of you is not done through cuts, it's not done through anything, it's just done through beats. You're sort of together, it's very jazzy.
Well, that was something that we worked out with Sir Ridley, because it was important to him, I think, that, you know, if we can get it without a cut, let's try to get it without a cut. And so we would try to get through all the dialogue together in a certain amount of time, which made it a lot easier.
But did you know each other? How do you get two actors into that kind of groove and beat?
Yeah, we just hit it off. We just hit it off, and we had some very constructive rehearsals. I think, you know, some of the rehearsals we had it wasn't just cappuccinos and muffins. It was like we solved problems in those rehearsals, and they were very brief, but things got done.
Because the script was, you know, pretty well laid out in these three very good developing acts, and a lot of films, as we all know, you've got 2-line scenes, 3-line scenes, but what Ted and Nick had got down in their play was 2, 3, 8-page scenes. So you could literally, for the first time in my experience in almost 10 years, we were able to have and enjoy the luxury of a formal rehearsal.
It is a luxury. I mean,
Yeah.
we don't often get to have that. It was a good 3 weeks, wasn't it?
Good 3 weeks, talking through it, gradually developing into it, then saying, let's read it, let's
Use 3 cameras a lot too, right?
Yeah, and then when you get to hit the location, which was mostly location, the house itself was a set, but inside was a set. But it means it was pretty well ingrained, so then it means you can fly once you get in with the cameras in front of you.
Question over there, then question over here.
Hi, my name is...
Go ahead, sir.
My name is Mohit. I would like to know, the film seems like it has a lot of commercial aspects to it. I'm wondering how you feel you benefit from a festival run for a film like this, and how important you still think film festivals are for a filmmaker like yourself.
I think this festival is slightly more unique than others in that it's not competitive, right?
Correct.
Right. Which I think is a big difference, because then it's purely an airing of what you've done. And I think particularly with a very discerning festival like this, I think this is quite a discerning film in the sense of this genre is new to me, not new to Nick, and not really new to you guys, but to me it is. Therefore, I think you can suffer as a filmmaker from perception and expectation. So half the time in a marketing thing, because they expect a large scale something or other from me, then I think I suffered from that in Blade Runner actually. They didn't expect, they expected not so much a thinking science fiction, but because it followed directly from Alien, they expected to rip your heart out, cut your throat, and chop your head off science fiction. And what? Instead, it was actually a thinking process. And I think we suffered for that dramatically initially, on the initial output of that. So I think the value of a festival like this is taking this, what I always saw as a comedy from scratch, from the very opening. That's what really attracted me. I hadn't done a comedy before. Loved the cons, the cons within the cons, but I loved the aspects of the fact that I was going to try something I hadn't done before, which is a comedy. So to me, this is a delicate tiptoe through the tulips. So good way to start. This is with a festival like this.
Ma'am?
Hi, I'm Sandra Abma of CBC Radio, and I wanted to ask Sir Ridley Scott, and I'd be very interested in anyone else in the panel too, if you could tell me about either your very favorite movie or the first movie that you saw that you remember now that just opened your eyes and
Yeah.
knew that you wanted to be part of it.
Yeah, it was John Derek in The Black Swan. He was playing a pirate, and my mother left me sitting in the back row near Piccadilly Circus Theatre. I was 6 years old. I went in at 2 o'clock. She came and got me at 4:30, and I refused to leave. So I started to scream and hold on to the seat. And then I had to be extracted by the manager. So that's embedded.
Is this a question like what movie left an indelible impression in the beginning, or what movie made me decide to be an actor, or?
All of the above and all combined.
That's a good answer.
It was Elia Kazan's East of Eden. And there was the scene where James Dean's trying to give Raymond Massey the money after he collected the money from the bean field for his birthday, and Massey turns him down. It really made me want to be an actor. But, because nothing moved me as much as that one moment. No song, no painting, no anything affected me as deeply as Dean's breakdown, trying to get his father's approval, his father's love. I knew then that if you could do that with acting, you could do anything. You could change the world if you had a great script. So that's when I decided I chose acting over everything else. But it was when I was 6 years old, when I saw Lon Chaney as the Phantom of the Opera, with his face coming off, the mask coming off at the organ, that left a really strong impression on me, and I couldn't sleep for weeks.
Last time I was asked this, and it's the same movie. I love, this is Spinal Tap. I love anything by Christopher Guest. I don't think that's why I wanted to be an actor. it really left a big impression. I don't know if I have a movie that...
Sam?
I guess there's like three. Well, can you say three? I don't know.
He said
Actually,
five.
Alien had a huge effect on me as a kid, and I'll never forget the acting was so real in that movie. It was like it was like Cassavetes realism. It was like, and that's why when you didn't even need the monster, the acting was so real. The Yaphet Kotto and Harry Dean Stanton and all these, this very kitchen sink acting, and then and I think that's why you care about these people when they die. And that had a big effect on me. But the Deer Hunter, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Taxi Driver. I remember the Russian roulette scene in the Deer Hunter. I was 10 years old and I was sitting in a theater, and De Niro looked like my father because my father had a beard and he used to wear that knit cap. And the Russian roulette scene was like you could hear a pin drop in the theater. I mean, nobody had ever seen it. It was like the alien coming out of the stomach. It was revolutionary violence that nobody had ever seen. Kind of what they're saying about that movie Irreversible today. But it was like it was just like mind-blowing, and the bond between those men in that movie, John Savage and Chris Walken. Yeah, anyway.
Ma'am?
Hi, Helen Klukach again, Young Street Review, and this is from Mr. Rockwell. There was an amazing chemistry between you and Nick in this movie.
Thank you.
Do you plan to work together in the near future?
Oh, I'd love to. I'd love to.
I would love to. We don't have any projects at the moment, but I'd be up to work with Sam on anything.
Yeah.
Get them working together soon.
Yeah, I was actually
you have a
thinking-
budget?
I was
You have the
thinking of a
money?
sequel, actually.
Yeah.
This is actually would make a really amusing sequel. Because a lot of the reviews, not so much reviews, when we were previewing, the reactions that you get on the cards, which are sometimes irrepeatable, you can't repeat them. But there was the massive disappointment at how his friends had let him down and taken everything. And therefore, there seemed to be this huge need for him to get the money back, which I thought was kind of curious.
Yeah, it could be interesting.
Yeah.
Question from the audience? Question here?
Actually, Bruce Kirkland again. Follow-up to the alien obsession you have, which you
yeah.
talked about in New York.
I used to have a doll, actually. I used to have an alien doll.
Have you had a chance to grill him on the changes he's making for the director's cut?
No, I haven't, actually.
Okay.
We will get into that later. I want to ask him about that.
There you go. And are you going to stick around for tomorrow when he presents it in the festival at the director's cut, and he'll do
Oh,
a
I didn't
Q&A
know that.
and an intro?
I had no idea.
You're invited, huh?
I'd love to check it out. I know that movie by heart. I know what's missing and know what's added. I will.
Madame?
Gloria Martin, 680 News. Mr. Cage, you mentioned that acting could change the world, and indeed we have some actors who want to change the world. Do you have any comment on Arnold Schwarzenegger running for office, and do you think it's a good idea for actors to get into politics?
Well, I generally try to keep my political views to myself and try to express myself through my work. So you can take that any way you want.
Any other question? Madame, go ahead.
When the critics and people are talking about this particular festival, and I've talked to what's coming for the next 9 days, many people are commenting on how dark and how full of anxiety and fear there seems to be films from all over the world. Do you feel that right now as a filmmaker, Sir Ridley Scott, that the movement and what you see and what you hear about is that filmmakers want to address, as opposed to relieve people of the kind of anxiety that people are feeling these days?
I think traditionally, movies used to play bigger, didn't they? Always, or better, more successfully in the wartime or years of stress, which could be either a slump or a war. And that was always the theory or the thesis, and I think that's definitely changed now. I think there's come a kind of obsession with filmmakers about, I think it's also evolvement and development, of evolving into, and I'm only talking at the better or the best level now, of getting more and more sophisticated in terms of innermost thoughts being dramatized on film in the most sophisticated way. So I'm only talking about the best, right? I think there's a lot of dime store psychology comes out of our community as well in terms of these big science fictions that are where the CGI seems to be the end itself rather than the means. So I think you're talking about a different kind of movie, right? Yeah. There's definitely that happening. I mean, I tend to look at as much as I can of independent movies and new guys, new gals coming up, and I'm mostly engaged by that. I'm getting very little sustenance off mainstream at the moment.
Ma'am?
Giovanna Grassi, Corriere della Sera from Ridley Scott. Did you see a movie directed by Federico Fellini, Il Bidone?
What's it called?
Il Bidone.
Il Bidone is one of the first movie directed by Fellini. It's the same story of two friends in a suburban.
No.
Okay.
No, but I knew.
You have to see.
Okay, I know a lot of. You may have spotted that the score is very much influenced by Fellini's man.
Nino Rota.
Nino Rota, yeah.
Yeah, because it's a real Italian comedy,
Right.
And it's very similar. I think that...
To this, is it?
Yeah,
Oh,
you
we
have
better
to
get
see.
Ted and Nick Griffin up here. They better speak, answer for that.
And any last question, ladies and gentlemen? The lady here who hasn't tried, and then the gentleman. Okay, last two questions. I lied.
Hi, this is for Mr. Cage. You had just said when you were saying some of the things that you learned from Miss Lohman, that you sometimes had thought about doing other things other than acting. How seriously did you consider that, and what other careers have you thought of going into?
Well, no, it was very early on, and I had tried my hand at acting for 2 or 3 years, and I kept getting the door shut on me, and I was rejected constantly by casting agents, and I thought to myself, I actually got very ill. I was in a hospital for a month, and I said, I'm going to try one more time, and if I don't get a job as an actor, I'm going to join the Merchant Marines and try to write a book like Herman Melville. And fortunately, I did get a job, and so I didn't go to sea. But that was the one career I was thinking of. And then I have interest in branching out. You know, I have a production company that I'm interested in expanding, and also I've tried my hand at directing, and, you know, I might like to do that again at some time as well.
Sir Ridley, I have a question about Alien before you guys leave. I was curious about the added scene with the flamethrower with Ripley, even why it was taken out, and it can't just be for time, because it seems like all the other Alien movies, which were yours, had a huge part of that scene that was never shown.
I think there's a moment when this is a long answer, right? I think it's partly to do with editing. The decision about editing, and I've changed and evolved as as a filmmaker who would start off literally choosing frame by frame, and sitting in the editing room, blow by blow. Cutting 10 years later, I've discovered that you blunt. I get blunt that way, and therefore once I've got the footage, assuming I'm a good editor, I let them get on with it. So when they're ready, they say, come and see. I've put the scene together. By now, I'm at a pragmatic stance, so I can walk and be really analytical immediately. If I've sat there, chosen the take, sat in every cut, you kind of get, we discussed this, I find I get blurred, and so I keep my distance. And that's a good example, an Alien, of we got, the last 17 minutes is pretty great dynamics. Everyone's gone, she's on her own, so she's on her own, on screen for 17 minutes. So you'll see, whoever going to see it tomorrow, the dynamics are so fantastic. You know, I didn't want to interrupt those dynamics. And by putting in that so-called nest scene, it suddenly stops the flow, and a different energy happens. And I think I was definitely blurred or blunt at that moment, because I just want to keep the 17 minutes going. Now I look at it and think, why did I take that out? So it should go back in.
We are given a little bit more time, so
yes, another question for Nicolas Cage. I'm curious about how, for you in your life, the job of being a celebrity, if that's the right word, the job part of it, interferes with the job of being an actor. Because clearly we know what your priorities are when we watch your films, but how do those two things jibe in real life?
Well, it's actually a pretty profound question, and it's something I grapple with all the time, which is that the studios need me to do things like talk shows and whatnot, and I don't want to become a fake or a phony, and that situation automatically kind of puts you in a phony or an artificial situation. So it's like, how do you maintain your integrity? How do you not lose your mystery? And like Jack Nicholson will say to me, you don't have to do TV, and he'll tell it to my publicist, but for some reason he gets away with it, but I don't, and I've even had him confront her. He said it. We went to the Oscars together, and I'm riding over with him. He gets me through the back door. He runs right into my publicist and says, he doesn't need to do TV anymore. And I don't know, but it's something that I'm dealing with, and maybe one day I'll be able to just disappear, and you only see me in movies and maybe at some dinner functions.
You're here today.
I'm here today. I'm here today, and this is fun, and I'm happy to, it's part of the job, and you promote the picture, but the problem is you just don't want to lose your soul, really. You don't want to lose your integrity. It's like the Indians and the camera. Don't take my picture, man. You're going to take my soul. Right.
Madame?
My name is Paula Cairo. I'm from COSA's Peruvian magazine. This is two questions for Nicolas Cage. What are your next projects? Maybe another movie soon. And what have you learned from Roy, your character in this movie?
My next project is called National Treasure. I'm reuniting with Jerry Bruckheimer. It should be a lot of fun. It's a big adventure picture, and I'm looking for there's a treasure map from the Templar Knights on the back of the Declaration of Independence, and I'm trying to get my hands on it. So, anyway, and the other part of your question was what? What have you learned from Jerry? As an actor, I think as an actor, I learned that choreography works. That it's just further in my goal to try to find a way of being out of control, but being in control while being out of control. And what I mean by that is I kind of went through it in the screenplay like a dance. I looked at every blink and every grunt, and which would increase or decrease with his stress levels, and I thought, well, there might be a way to do this so that it feels natural, and I think it's almost more of a British actor's approach of working from the outside in, and so I just sort of planned it out that way, and then that helped. That was a good experiment for me.
But to pick up on her question, actually, do you learn systematically from characters that you portray and revisit perhaps after a month, a year, 5 years, 10 years? Do you reassess or rediscover stuff about yourselves as actors when you revisit characters that you may have portrayed 10 years ago?
Well, if you look at Face Off specifically, my work in Vampire's Kiss, which was a little independent movie, which I did basically so I could buy a Corvette, but I had experimented with the idea of using German expressionistic silent film acting and all that, and lo and behold, 15 years later, I get offered Face Off, which is this big action movie. And I always thought that independent films could be like a laboratory where you could take chances that the bigger pictures aren't going to let you do. So then I thought, because I had a brave director like John Woo, I thought, well, why don't I try some of that Vampire's Kiss acting in this big movie? And so, and I did it. I just transferred what I learned in my experiment on a small independent film into a big studio actioner. And it paid off for me.
Sam, any comment?
I think that's a great example of that. I was thinking of John Voight in The Champ and Runaway Train too. It seems that his character in Runaway Train is derivative of his character in The Champ a little bit, and the same thing with Face Off and Vampire's Kiss. The thing that's great about Nick is that he's so courageous. He takes chances, and he'll find something that most actors won't find. He's not afraid to just go into another zone, and I think that's why he finds special things. He did play normal guys, and the Family Man was a normal guy.
Garney was a normal guy.
Yeah, I mean the guy in Raising Arizona was a normal guy too. Really, he was just in a surreal circumstance world. Anyway.
Normal. Angela Pacenza, Canadian Press again. Wondering if anyone on the panel can discuss maybe if you guys had a newfound respect for con artists after the film or anything.
Yeah, I mean, it's a clever. I think also the thing why we like to enjoy and watch con artists or read con stories that somehow the victim is never truly a victim. There's an element of greed there. So they've left themselves open, and if you're going to use the expression they kind of deserved it, then they probably do. So, and particularly in this, because it enables you to enjoy to like these characters, even though if you examine for 2 seconds what they're doing for a living, it's pretty seedy. And so I think this film's a pretty good demonstration of how you can like a con artist despite his occupation. That was key anyway, that you had to start to, the job had to become backseat to the relationships. Right?
Sir? I had asked Sir Ridley and Sam and Alison this already, and I didn't get a chance to talk to you, but Nicholas, have you ever been conned?
Yeah. Yeah. And I can assure you that he was a very, very nice guy.
I guess we will leave it at that, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.